Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, or welcome if you are new to my channel. And welcome to this Evil Dead franchise movie review video as part of my current April 2024 series, where we're going to be taking a look at all five Evil Dead franchise movies. So today we're going to kick it off with the OG, of course, the Evil Dead from 1981. And I have it on this 2-pack here with the second one on Blu-ray, the Blu-ray double feature here. So yeah, The Evil Dead by Sam Raimi from 1981. As I said in my intro video, this is a movie I'd seen before and I actually had a review up on my channel. I'm sure it's still up on my channel from, I believe, October of 2021. But I'm not, don't quote me on that. But I'd only seen it once, and so I was interested in watching it again for this review series. So let's just go ahead and get into it. The Evil Dead is a 1981 American independent supernatural horror film written and directed by Sam Raimi, and it was his directorial debut as well. The film stars Bruce Campbell, Ellen Sandweiss, Richard Domanicore, Betsy Baker, and Teresa Tilly as five college students vacationing in an isolated cabin in the woods, where they find an audio tape that, when played, release a legion of demons and spirits. Four members of the group suffer from demonic possession, forcing the fifth member, Ash Williams, to survive an onslaught of increasingly gory mayhem. Does that sound interesting? Well, it is interesting. So basically, five Michigan State students, Ash Williams, his girlfriend Linda, his sister Cheryl, their friend Scott, and Scott's girlfriend Shelley, vacation at an isolated cabin in rural Tennessee. Approaching the cabin, the group notices the porch swing move on its own, but suddenly stop as Scott grabs the door key. While Cheryl draws a picture of a clock, the clock stops and she hears a faint, demonic voice tell her to join us. Her hand becomes possessed, turns pale, and draws a picture of a book with the demonic face on its cover. Although shaken, she does not mention the incident. When the cellar trapdoor flies open during dinner, Shelley, Linda, and Cheryl remain upstairs as Ash and Scott investigate the cellar. They find the Naturum Demonto, a Sumerian version of an Egyptian Book of the Dead, along with the archaeologist Raymond Noby's tape recorder, and they take the items upstairs. Scott plays a tape of incarnations that resurrect a demonic entity. Cheryl yells for Scott to turn off the tape recorder, and a tree branch breaks one of the cabin windows. Later that evening, an agitated Cheryl goes into the woods to investigate strange noises, and she's attacked and raped by the vines and branches of demonically possessed trees. And the movie kind of goes from there, of course. As far as the cast goes, as I said, we have Bruce Campbell playing Ash Williams, Ellen Sandweiss as Cheryl Williams, Richard Domanicore as Hal Delrich as Scott, Betsy Baker as Linda, Teresa Tilly as Sarah York as Shelley. I'm not sure why they have two names. Teresa Tilly as Sarah York, as Shelley. I don't know if they had like different actor names or what, but anyway, that's to set up the premise and the cast for the original Evil Dead from 1981. What can I say? I love this movie. I really liked it and was kind of creeped out by it the first time I watched it a few years ago, and it still really holds up. Even though I kind of knew the story and how it played out this time, it's still really effective. So let's just get into it, starting with the pros for this movie. I absolutely love the aesthetic of this movie with the sort of low-budget, grainy quality. It makes it feel much less like a big-budget Hollywood studio film, all shined up, and being able to tell that it's a Hollywood studio movie, much more of a real creepy and effective low-budget independent movie, which it is. And so that's just something that I really enjoy, because it's not low budget where it's like shot on video or anything. It's still movie making, but it's just done in a very organic kind of way, and that really works for this film. I will say that I did watch the upgraded version. I have two versions of this movie. There's the original version, which is shot on the lower grainy quality, and then there's an upgraded version, which I did watch this time. I think I watched the original version the first time, and there's a little bit of difference. I could tell that it wasn't quite as rough of a look, but still has that low grainy quality to it. So I really like that. The classic setting, of course. What can you say about the the old rundown cabin in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, isolated from civilization. It makes for just a classic horror setting that's been done by hundreds of movies at this point. But I absolutely love it. It's one of the most effective and creepy horror settings that you could absolutely have. And this movie does it as well, if not better than any of them. I really like the camera work with the moving and panning camera representing the evil moving through the woods. I think that's very effective. I just really enjoy that, the look of it. I thought Raimi did a great job with that. The overhead shots as well of like Ash in the cabin, and even like the low shot of seeing the possessed Cheryl in the basement door there, where she's, I just the camera work is really well done in this movie by Raimi. I think that as a first time director, I think that's the part that he knocked out of the park the most for my money. Very effective. I absolutely love the practical effects, the makeup and gore effects throughout the movie, especially towards the end of the movie when we get a couple of possessed people whose bodies start to decompose. It's all practical. It's some people might look at it and say that doesn't look great. It's outdated. I couldn't disagree more. I absolutely love it. The melting of the bodies, the different kind of mucuses and things coming out of the body. Obviously, blood. I just love it. It's an absolute splatter gore fest, and like I said, from a practical standpoint, it really works for me. It looks really gnarly, but also the look of the possessed friends, like with their eyes and everything. Everything's just really well done from a practical effects standpoint. I thought even like the tree branches coming out of the ground and the vines and stuff during the attack scene of Cheryl's character, I thought was really effective. I mean, I can't complain about any of the practical effects in this movie. I'm sure some younger people that are more inept or more in depth with like the 2010s kind of horror movies probably can find fault in it, but not this guy. I love it. The sound effects they really stood out for me even more this watch. Not just the voice of the Deadites, which is very effective and very very creepy, very creepily done, which I think Sam Raimi himself actually voiced a lot of them, if not all of them, from my understanding. But just the musical cues that are used at different points, different scenes with certain high tension moments throughout the movie. I thought the sound of like chains being hooked up, just everything about the sound effects in this movie just add to the sort of the aesthetic of it, sort of the realness, the uneasiness of it that you have while watching it. And then that's my final approach. Genuinely a creepy, unnerving, and haunting movie given the budget, the setting with the darkness and the fog mixed in, which are other great effects. It makes for an incredibly effective atmosphere despite having a low budget. And that's, I think, the biggest compliment I can give this movie. I think Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, who kind of co-did this movie, kind of co-produced it. With such a low budget, they got the most they could out of it. I mean, in fact, I would say they even went above what most people could do with a low budget and made it very effective. So, yeah, I just love it. As far as cons go for the original Evil Dead, I really only have one, and that's the characters themselves. I don't think the characters are the strongest in this movie, especially Ash, who really isn't Ash yet as we come to know him from a pop culture standpoint. He's more cowardice, more hesitant. He's a guy that survives as opposed to being the sort of kick-ass one-liner hero that we'll come to know him at in future movies. And there's not much with the other characters either. They're just college students where four of them are basically, boyfriend, girlfriend, and then the sister of Ash. I don't think the acting was that bad, especially for a low-budget movie. I thought the acting was serviceable, but the characters, there's not really much there. But I don't think it was probably Raimi's and Campbell's intention to put a lot into the characters. This was all about the aesthetic and the setting and the gore and the effects and the camera work, and they nailed all that in spades. For his first time directing, I thought Sam Raimi did a fabulous job with this movie, and I love the original Evil Dead. I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. Just love it. I think it's one of the creepier 80s movies Not to say that it doesn't have cheesy parts to it and stuff as well. Some of the dialogue from the Deadites and stuff. It's still got that 80s cheesy charm to it, but it's definitely not the comedy that future movies would become. This one is more, it's a little closer. It's kind of like what the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre did, with that low, grainy, feels almost too real kind of quality. That's kind of what The Evil Dead is from 1981. So 9 out of 10 for The Evil Dead. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen the original Evil Dead from 1981, what your thoughts are on it. Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews for this series or any of my great horror content for this series or beyond, frankly. I hope you guys continue to enjoy this series. 4 more movies to review, of course, 3 of which I've never even seen before. So that'll be an interesting experience. And then the other one, of course, coming up, I've only seen once, just like this one. So with that being said, I hope everybody's doing well. And as always, stay scared. Bye, everyone.